Web design concepts. We're going to watch two videos about scanning and attention, and I'll go ahead and start with the one on the left.
This is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla? This video is from research by Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris and is copyrighted.
So when we're focused on what we want, in this case to count, we don't notice other things. Probably most of us did not notice the gorilla coming into the scene. And we'll discuss in the next slide the importance of this test. Let's look at the next video.
The door study. This video shows a participant from a 1998 study by Daniel Simons and Daniel Levin. Watch what happens as the unsuspecting pedestrian provides directions. The young man on the left is one of the experimenters. He has approached the white-haired man and asked for directions. Watch closely as two people carrying a door pass between them, and the first experimenter is replaced by someone else. Like many of the people in this study, the pedestrian was entirely unaware that he was talking to a different person. Approximately 50% of the people approached in this study didn't notice when the person they were talking to was replaced by someone else. This study was among the first to demonstrate that change blindness can occur outside of the laboratory. This video is from research by Daniel Simons and Daniel Levin and is copyrighted.
So again, when we're not necessarily interested in something, in this case in the person asking for directions, we don't even notice the person or notice the thing. And so how does this relate to web design and web design concepts? The two videos show that when people are focused on a certain task, they don't even notice much else. Similarly, in websites, we only see what we're looking for, and we don't notice other things. In other words, we scan. This example will demonstrate what we just said. On the left side is what a designer has built, a website where you purchase tickets to travel. The designer has spent time designing, styling, building rows and columns, blues and reds and buttons and headers, logos, and so forth. And on the right side is what we see, what the user sees. When the user goes online, they want to buy a ticket, and that's what they look for. They also might want to check their frequent flyer miles, and that's what they look for. They don't pay attention at all to anything else on the page. They scan the page. Let's look at this next example. Still under scanning and attention. If I ask you to find the coffee cup among these images, where is the coffee cup? Take a few seconds to find the coffee cup. In fact, it is on the second row in the last column. Okay, so on the far right. Now, if I leave this image and ask you if you saw a burger, among the little images. Perhaps nobody saw the burger, okay? And that's because I asked you to focus on finding the coffee cup. In fact, there is a burger, and the burger is right here on the bottom left corner. But since I asked you to focus and try to find the coffee cup, you probably did not pay attention that there is also a burger among these images. So in web design, when seeking information, people scan pages to achieve their goal and not really read them, usually not noticing what else is on a page. Still under scanning and attention, while scanning a web page, people don't optimize. Optimizing means looking at all options and choosing the best. But they satisfice, which means choosing the first option that vaguely resembles what they're looking for. People don't read instructions about how something works, for example, a home appliance, but muddle through, and if it works, that's all that matters. People treat our carefully crafted design as a billboard going by 60 miles per hour. People don't even pay attention to large parts of the page. Exception to scanning are pages that contain news stories, reports, product descriptions, and so forth. Part 2 is designing web pages. Since people scan web pages and not really read them, we have to design our web page so that we create a clear visual hierarchy, have a visual structure, let important things be visible, take advantage of conventions, break pages into clear areas, make it obvious what's clickable, minimize noise, maintain consistency. Let's talk about the first bullet point under designing web pages, which is creating a clear visual hierarchy. In this visual, we notice that we have a very important headline, we have a less important headline, we have a sidebar on the left side with names of flowers, we have a paragraph on the right about flowers that contains another paragraph about the rose, which happens to be a flower. The more important something is, the more prominent it should be. So if this title is the most important headline, then it should be in a bigger font size, bold perhaps a prominent, dominant color, and so forth. Things related logically should also be related visually. So if iris, rose, lily, tulip, and daisy are all flowers, then it is logical to make them related visually, in other words, to write them with the same typeface, same font size, perhaps same color, and put them in the same location. Things that are part of other things should be visually nested in their parents. If there's a paragraph about the rose, and the rose happens to be a child of the flower paragraph, if you want to think of it that way, then it's logical to visually nest the paragraph about the rose within the area that contains the paragraph about flowers. Still under creating a clear visual hierarchy, on the left side we have prose text, and on the right side we have hierarchical text. And notice how hierarchical text is much easier to read. Prose text makes people read everything, which is a waste of time and energy, while visual hierarchy lets people ignore information that is irrelevant to their search and goals, and that way they can save time by scanning quickly. Another example is this online newspaper. We notice that the video that's spanning 2 columns makes it clear that everything under the video is part of the same story. Also, the size of the headline makes it clear that this is the most important story of the page. So So it's very important to have a good visual hierarchy. So a good visual hierarchy, meaning when things don't look equally important, saves us time by processing the page for us and prioritizing its contents. Having a good visual structure. If we look at this example, this is completely unstructured. We can't know where to start reading, where to end. We don't understand much. But if we look at this structured example, we immediately see flight, United 237, Auckland to San Francisco, right? Departure time, arrival time. It's very important to have a clear visual structure. In the other example to the right, at the very top you see an easy to read phone number. That's because the area code is between parentheses. There's a hyphen between the first 3 digits and the last 4 digits, as opposed to the next example, which is hard to read because all the numbers are next to one another without any parentheses, without any logical separations, and so forth. Similarly, a credit card or a debit card number is much easier to read with spaces between each 4 digits, as opposed to all numbers being stuck next to one another. This is another example from my syllabus, and it looks completely unstructured because we don't know where to start reading, what to understand. But if it's organized in a table, for example, visually, we can comfortably read what's on Monday, September 9th, what's on Tuesday, January 15, and so forth. It's much easier to read when we have a visual structure. So in the first unstructured example, we cannot find what we're looking for. But in the second improved structure, we quickly find information because it is visually organized for us in specific areas.